Andy Liu. They said the Warriors weren't going to sign anyone. I'm looking at Twitter, the times this weekend it worked, period. So not very often. And it's just panic during free agency. I love it. We're recording this 8 p.m. Sunday night, and the Warriors have finally made a free agent signing.
Made our life easy tonight, I guess. The Cory Joseph episode. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we're going to call this the weekend recap. Weekend one of free agency episode, but we might as well start on the news that's most recent, right? By the way, before we get to Cory Joseph, what did you think of all that? Dude, is Twitter officially cooked? Is it over?
Well, so it's one thing and the other. So the first thing is the complaints about the non-signings was I thought pretty funny because it's like, well, what the hell are teams supposed to do? Like the Suns signed someone named some Kate's job, whatever. You know why he signed with the Suns? Because he gets to play like 20 minutes because the Suns have nobody outside of 4 guys. The Warriors have 9 dudes in the rotation. So I'm kind of sitting here like, it's kind of hard. Dunleavy has a hard job to kind of recruit these guys, Steph, CP. So, and then now I can't even update my phone because I can't see tweets. So I gotta look at it online on Safari until that runs out. So, Sam, it's been a hell of a weekend.
Anytime I get Twitter to work, it's fake insiders just lying about what's about to happen. Yeah, sorry, they're not making a trade with the Raptors right now. No, what's going on?
Is that not happening? Is it? Are they not moving Klay for Siakam? Is that not out there? Klay for Levine is not happening.
You know what? I will put money that Klay will not be traded for Pascal Siakam. You guys can cut this up and troll me to eternity if it happens, but I do not see that being the way it plays. It's
yeah.
It's funny. This is the first weekend I'm looking like Twitter might go the way of MySpace. It might be. We might talk about the era. Unfortunately for you guys, light years survives through anything. We'll move platforms. We survived through a nuclear holocaust. We're good to go. It doesn't really matter.
Nothing we can't do, man. There's nothing we can't do.
All right, Cory Joseph. How many people texted you another guard when the notification came out? Because that's what my phone looked like.
Yeah, this was not a splashy move, but you know who was all in, who was splashing, who was celebrating, popping bottles when this move was made. Definitely the coach of the Golden State Warriors, because I've watched some Cory Joseph in my career because he's bounced around some teams. Also, Cory Joseph is an Andy Liu type of player. He handles the ball well, shoots it pretty well, pretty good on defense. Now he's older, so he's washed up. He's played on some teams. He's only 31, but he is he's bounced around. He's definitely a journeyman type of guy. Doesn't turn the ball over. High IQ player. Like all the things that Steve Kerr was losing his mind over last season, he gets with him. He's obviously not even close to Chris Paul, but he's of that mindset. It's just, let me protect the ball. Let me play really hard on defense. I'm a little bit undersized, but I'm always going to make the right decision.
Is he undersized? I feel like he's got decent size for a point guard.
What is he, like 6'3"? Yeah.
Yeah. Then again, everyone's 6'3". I think of a few specific things with. I think of a few specific things with Cory Joseph. I think of him on the 2014 Spurs. He was kind of the X factor point guard, young athlete, mixed in there with Tony Parker, who's like all-star at that point, and Patty Mills and Manu and those guys. I think of how a certain segment of fans blamed him for never being able to throw a proper lob to James Wiseman, and how much it made me laugh every time I saw that come across my timeline. Just a little irony, And yeah, to you, I think steady, honestly. Steady, no mistake point guard. Our guy, Warrior Muse, threw this stat out there, and I'm going to share it real quick with everyone. All right. Highest assist to turnover ratio last season. Minimum 200 assists. Tyus Jones, Monty Morris. Shut up, Looney. Just a machine. Chris Paul, who's number 8? Cory Joseph. And, we know how Steve Kerr feels about Looney. I'm sensing a theme here, which is enough with the ball don't stop offense. I need some dudes who will just take care of the ball. Steph and Klay, they can go insane with their shots. Everyone else needs to be a smart player.
And they lost Ty Jerome, right? Who we didn't talk about yet, but he lost him to the Cavs. Ended up getting $5 million across 2 years, which is really cool. Good for him. They just needed someone that was like him, similar to him, and Cory Joseph has been a lot better in his career. Probably is going to be a lot better than Ty Jerome ever will be. But he's kind of the perfect guy. Perfect guy. It's like it's like the Warriors have should I say overcorrected? They have definitely tried to correct the flaws.
It might be an overcorrect. Like we might look at it next season and be like, all right, now we have no one who can beat a man off the bounce. But
exactly, and maybe we're too small. Whatever. Maybe we can't create like you're saying. But you look at these moves. It's trading Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. I mean, you're trading in. We've talked about the negatives, but you're really trading in a guy that turned the ball over the most in the NBA for one of the smartest point guards of all time, regardless of if he's 38. As long as Chris Paul is still healthy, he's going to make the right decisions on the court most of the time. And then now you throw in Cory Joseph. It's pretty.
You trade Wiggle for checkdowns. Kyle Shanahan also won. If you want to look at it this way, I don't need dudes freelancing. Just hit Debo on the slant. Just hit it, Oh
my God.
I do think the Warriors needed it because how long has it been since they've had a steady point guard? I think I like Jordan Poole probably more than you, but I'm pretty on the record of saying not a point guard, just not a guy you want running your offense. I just think he's a really explosive scorer, right? Do we have to go back to Livingston the last time they've had a dude who can come off the bench who you're just like, all right, I can just trust him to, not turn the ball over, keep the offense moving and make smart decisions?
It's got to be Livingston. And before that, like probably Jared Jack, like a couple years before that. So,
sure.
And then before that, it doesn't matter. They weren't winning games. Yeah. So, that's it. It's those three guys. They went through a ton of guys. The uniqueness part of Sean Livingston is that he could close games, and he was super long.
He's huge.
Yeah, he's super long. So we're not going to get that from Cory Joseph. But part of it is, too, and Slater pointed this out, is Steph, Klay, and Chris Paul are going to miss a ton of games, regardless of if they're healthy or not. Even if they weren't healthy, it doesn't matter. They're still going to miss games. They're not playing back-to-backs. Steph's going to get an injury here and there. Same with Chris Paul. Klay was actually kind of an Iron Man last season, but he's going to get load managed too. So these guys are going to play 65, 68 games, I would think, tops. So he's going to play. He's going to get 20, minutes.
I'm going to tell you right now, if Steph and Chris Paul play 65 games, I'll be very happy. Because that means they stayed healthy, but they also didn't push it too hard. And you know what that means? That means there's 17 games they didn't play. Times up by 2, that's 34. There's minutes there for Cory Joseph. So I want to ask you a question. Do you think it's possible that they're going to start Steph at the 2? Dunleavy talks a lot about wanting multiple ball handlers, and you could make a case that it would help prolong his career if you put him in a situation where it's him and another ball handler. You think that's the route they're going?
Well, I have a hard time believing that. I assume you're not asking me that question, just kind of throwing it out there. I'm assuming that's.
I'm totally throwing it out there. I'm just thinking about the players they like. So
I just think that if you're going to do that, I think this is more about depth rather than changing anything in the starting lineup. Because I think if you're going to end up pushing Steph off ball more and more as he gets older in his career, that assumes that he's playing next to someone who's bigger and more like a wing ball handler, right? Obviously, you're thinking of LeBron and Giannis, all those guys, but it's unlikely he plays with those guys. So you're thinking of someone who's going to be like Kuminga down the line, or whatever. Like if Kuminga ends up being a 6'8" wing guy that can handle a little bit, then you can push Steph off ball a little bit more so that he can be your maybe for 1A, 1B creator 2 years from now, whatever, like that, kind of what Kawhi became. Obviously, like, doesn't seem likely with what we've seen at Kuminga, but I think it'd be more someone like that rather than another small guard that you throw in at the 1.
I don't know. Steph's getting bigger and bigger. He's the rare player who's like he's growing into his late 30s. But I kind of agree with you. If you're gonna, something like that only works if you have a monstrous front line, and that we know they do not have. So I don't think so. But I do think we're gonna see more Steph and another point guard than we have in the past. And you know what? That's okay. I think it works. I think it works in the flow of a game, honestly.
Question is maybe if they close with that lineup. That's the real interesting part, is if, we're going to argue about this all year, dude, you and I, but it's going to be interesting to see how often Chris Paul closes. That's a lot of small dudes out there.
You know what I keep thinking about? Steve Kerr said Klay Thompson has to adapt. Older players adapt when they get older, that sort of thing. And I wonder if part of his thought is like, Klay, you're kind of big ass dude. Play bigger, I don't know if it's realistic, but Klay is 6'6", maybe 6'7", definitely 220. I mean, he's as big a wing as you'll find outside of like the jumbo wing size guys. He doesn't play like it. I mean, he uses it to get separation, but like part of me wonders if Klay can be a little more of a physical force, and that helps you play more 2-guard likes.
Yeah. He's not a 2 anymore. Not even close. And then
wing.
They can he's a 3-4 now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what they end up doing. And then you push Wiggins over into the 3-4 spot too, mostly a 4 spot. And that's when injuries kind of start to happen, I think, because you're playing up so much. And Wiggins is strong and athletic, but he's not big. He's not big. Like even like Harrison Barnes is bigger. That's where he can kind of fit that 4 role. Sure. Good for him, by the way. Elite swindler. Elite. Another $50 million guarantee from the man. Good stuff.
Just it's clocks in, clocks out every day. Does the job. Really gets his money. Goes home. It's my guy. Misses shots in playoff games. It's the guy. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. They keep alluding to they have to play different. They have to evolve. That sort of stuff. To me, I'm probably overthinking it. They're mostly just talking about like we're going to add more steady players and everyone has to kind of play a little smarter, as opposed to like we're bringing in Giannis to save everything, like that's I'm probably reading too much into it, but it does seem like there is a focus on getting smart players, more veteran players, and trying to be more like what we would, let's say, consider the Spurs to do, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's really exactly what they're doing. Is they're just going and saying, look, we've got. I think they've literally only got one guy in their roster right now that they probably. I mean, I'm not counting Pods and Trace Jackson Davis because
we don't know. They're under the bench.
Yeah, I would say, but I'm just saying, like for them right now, they would probably trust everyone to play 20 minutes in a game on their roster. Everyone up in the like even Kuminga, who I think like Steve Kerr trusts the least. You would still play him 20 minutes in the regular season game. He's still very much good enough to do that. Versus last year, and we know exactly the 20 minutes we're going to get from most of those guys, right? Like we know exactly if they're going to play those 20, we know. Versus last year where it was just like Jordan Poole, I don't know. Wiseman, I don't know. You know what I mean? Kuminga, I don't know. Even Klay Thompson out there because he's fat half the season, out of shape. Like, I don't know what he's going to do out there, right? So this season, it feels like you're going to know exactly what you're going to get from every single player, including the guys that they're going to sign. I mean, they've got two more roster spots left. So they're going to get maybe whoever.
Definitely. They will get a big. Hopefully it's a big that we want, but they will, at least one will be used on a big, and it's possible the others just use on like a wing who can just fill a bunch of gaps. Right.
Sure.
So let's talk about that. That's kind of the interesting thing to me. We're probably over talking the Cory Joseph thing. You're probably correct. He's probably the third guard who, if Steph and CP are healthy, might even get DNP'd. But if they miss a game, he's right there, give you 15 minutes. You could trust him to not make mistakes and just kind of go through the rhythm, right? The signing every Warriors fan wanted to see was a big man. You want to see someone who can, the trendy name is like, we need to find a new Otto Porter. We got to find Otto, that sort of thing, right? And like Dario Saric was the name everyone heard day one of free agency. Made total sense. We talked about him all week. He's the best name on the board in terms of bigs who can space the floor, but also, can make a play, rebound, generally fit into how the Warriors like to play basketball. Day 3, he's still unsigned. What do you make of that? Because we know the Warriors made an offer to him, and it was leaked that they felt decent about it or good about it or any verbiage of stuff. We're here Sunday night.
Let me ask you that from the comments from I Eat Bread 444. Funny comment name. Why did the Sarge thing leak so early? What was the purpose?
That is a great question. Why don't you take it? Why don't you take first down?
Yeah, it's weird. It was leaked. It was reported by actual credentialed reporters, not like Twitter goons. Monty Poole, Mark Stein confirmed it. Dalton Johnson as well. NBC guys. So to me, that tells me, if I were to guess, it's the Warriors saying that they feel like they've got a really good shot, less so than like Sarge's agent texting them, telling them that, hey, Dario's close to deciding and it's going to be the Warriors. So maybe it was just the Warriors feeling really confident about it, and Sarge is kind of going back and saying, well, like, yeah, I like the offer, but I'm still trying to get more money, right? Because the most the Warriors can get him is $1 to $3 million based on how long he's been in the league. So it feels like that the Warriors are more excited, thinking that they had it in the bag, and I don't know if that was the case. Do you agree, or do you think something else is going on? Because it is day 3. Most guys are gone at this point.
Most guys are not gone, but
the good players. Dario's a good player.
Yes, the players who are good are increasingly. There's very few of them left. Dario's veteran minimum number, by the way, is somewhere between 2.5 and 3-ish. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but just calling it out.
That's fine.
My thought on why it leaked was I think the Warriors were hoping by doing that they would shy other teams away, like trying to make it seem like it was a done deal, make it seem because it's an obvious fit. I guarantee if you tell people like, oh yeah, Sarge, that's a Warrior player, that type of mentality, right? So like if you get out there, maybe you stop teams from going there. Maybe you get other teams thinking, well, Sarge can go to the Warriors, so like let's go look at Plumlee, let's go look at Markieff Morris or something. Like I don't know. I'm just throwing out names. Those are two vastly different names, by the way. Mm-hmm. That's my thought on it. We're here in day 3, and I'm not surprised he hasn't signed because I didn't think the good veteran minimums would sign in the first 48 hours. I thought most of those would wait a couple days. It's like, see if I can get paid, and if I can't get paid, then I'll go the veteran minimum route. If you look the past few free agencies, some guys commit early, but a lot of these guys, it's like, let's just say tomorrow, Monday through Friday is when you see guys like, all right, I'm signing this, I don't have a big offer out there. I like the situation for this year, and we'll figure out next year. So maybe, but like my gut keeps telling me he feels like a guy who's trying to see if he can get more money from someone before having to sign a veteran minimum. Because the one thing I know about Dario Saric is he's a good player, but he's 29 and he hasn't made a ton of money in the NBA. Like he's made very good money, he makes a little more than Andy Liu and Sam Spandiari, but like he's not a guy who's made, like 150 FU dollars, where like the difference between like a $6 million contract and a $2 million contract isn't substantial money for him,
No, and he's going from about 10 million, 9 million to 2.5, 3 million. So it's a big jump for someone like him. Like you said, he could still hoop. He's actually still good. I assume also he wants to be assured, 30 minutes a game, right? If not 30, then 20. Can I get 20 minutes a game? And I'm not
like you think of me when you think of guys on that team.
And I'm not sure that's promised by the Warriors. And I think a lot of times with some of these free agents, it's the same thing. Yuta Watanabe was someone that I think Warriors fans loved. I loved. But Utah's agent goes and talks to the Warriors and goes, all right, like, where are the 20 minutes coming every night? And Steve can't lie. I mean, he could, but it's doubtful that he does. He's not going to sit there and say, yeah, you're going to play over guys like Kuminga every night. It's just – I don't in Wiggins and GP2. There are going to be nights where those guys don't play. I'm sure Cory Joseph is fine with that. Cory Joseph at 31, he's not that good anymore, so it's fine. He's like, I don't care, whatever. The comments here.
Someone in the chat says he wants Jock Landale money. I'm sure he does. Jock Landale got a 4-year, $8 million a year contract.
Crazy.
If someone offered that to Saric, he probably signs tomorrow. You know,
yesterday.
I'm sorry. I would tell him to sign, that's a substantial difference from the Warriors giving you 2.7, but I kind of disagree with you. Do you really think the Warriors can't promise him minutes? Because Utah, I'm not sure they can promise him to Utah, but Saric, I think Steve Kerr can tell him to his face, minimum 15 a night, probably 20 plus.
You think he throws in the Bielitsa auto tape and just goes like, here's what you're gonna do all year.
He's gonna go, all right, Looney's getting his 20 to 25. Draymond's getting his 25 to 30. I don't have anyone else, bro, in the front line.
That's fair.
I can give you if this works, you might get 30 minutes a game, but realistically, it's probably 15 to 20. Otto played 20 minutes, Belly played like 12 or so a game. It's there for him. If he can do the Warriors things, I honestly think the Warriors' best selling point to him is we need a player of your skill set, and you're going to look really good on this team. Like, you're going to be able to get a $50 million contract after 1 year.
Do you know who got a $50 million contract after 1 year? Right. So, good for him, by the way. Very, very cool that he got $52 million after that. Deserve it. You're right. You've convinced me. I lost my train of thought. What I was going to say, but I think one thing I think the Warriors, they need more than anything else is a Dario Saric. And the longer that I think the market goes, I do think it's probably good for the Warriors. Maybe you disagree, but it feels like to me that there's less teams out there that are going to say, here's your 3-year, 21 mil, right? Like the longer this thing goes, it feels like less teams, the money dries up and people aren't going to spend that much money.
I mean, that's what was terrifying me about like Houston. Like, you saw Houston, they're just throwing dumb money because they're just like, look, man, we're not going to have a bunch of 20-year-old like Gen Z TikTok kids again. I need some adults in here, and they just throw that too. Yeah, but like scales of difference, right?
Yes.
So they overpaid Fred, even though I'm a big Fred VanVleet guy.
Yeah, right.
Dylan Brooks, which
interesting.
But I mean, like, they even threw money at like Jeff Green, like
$7 million.
Just please,
Warriors had a chance.
Please come in here and teach these kids how to not, just to be professionals.
Just be a professional, exactly.
And they had a very specific goal there, but it's like I don't know. I'm looking at the Spurs right now, and the Spurs are rumored to be in on the Damian Lillard stuff. And I'm sure they're sniffing around because they have space. They have all those picks that other teams traded them that they're not going to do anything with. They're like, let's see if we can do it. But at some point, they're like, well, we have $20 million to spend. I don't know. Let's just throw Saric 2 years, $20 million, because we need a backup big anyway. Like that's the type of thing that's terrifying me from a Warriors perspective. But like, as you said, the longer it goes, the less likely it is to happen, right?
I don't know. Maybe money dries up. I think maybe the longer it goes, money dries up, and Dario Saric is going to look around a week from now and go, well, I could go play in somewhere that I don't like, right, for $5 million, or I can play for the Warriors and rehab my value and maybe make 40, 50 million next year and make the postseason. He'll have moments. He'll be on the big stage. People will watch him. Right. And I think Dario Saric is a winning type of player. He has the winning player type of traits. No, I don't know if he's an actual winning player. We'll find out if he's going to be on.
No, he's a winning player, but it's he, to your point, he might be a 12-minute a game winning player when the games count.
It is this offseason does feel like the Cory Joseph signing is fine, but it's feels like a lot of this offseason does hinge on like, are they going to be able to get that stretch big? Because if they're going to strike out with Jermichael Green again, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them. Even if they end up getting Plumlee, Plumlee's not a stretch big. Like he's more like Looney's direct backup. They need him. I would like him. I would like them to sign both of them instead of wings, and we'll talk about that in a second here. But it does feel like if it's not Saric, man, who else? Who else out there can fill that role? So
I agree. Actually, I'm pulling up the list of names, and this won't be everyone, but like, okay, let's say Saric doesn't end up coming to the Warriors. Look at this list. Tell me who here would interest you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just go off.
I mean, Montrezl Harrell would be like the Maurice Spates type big, right? Like he's not a super smart player. Definitely not the Otto Porter type. More of the, hey, let's get him in, super energetic, jack up a couple shots, some cool offensive rebounds, change the game a little bit, but he'll never close a game. You never want him to close a game. But I would say like maybe that's closest because all these other guys.
I think they have to go shooting, man. I really do. Because
none of these guys can shoot.
Christian Wood can shoot, but he's not like
also, you can't pay him what he wants anyway. So.
I mean, he might be the guy who falls through the cracks. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I think like, look, selfish, can't pass the ball.
It's rough.
I think Steve would hate him.
Yeah,
skill level through the roof, but like, I just don't think he's a guy who buys into I'm going to be 15 minutes a game of high IQ and I stick a couple shots.
100%.
No Mo Bamba.
Come on.
Not really. Like, I mean, he hit shots against the Warriors, but like he's not a shooter. I mean, Frank Kaminsky, I don't think Blake Griffin wants to be on Chris Paul's team. But
they like each other. You think that ship has sailed? You think Lob City's coming back?
Frank Kaminsky. I mean, Gorgie Dieng. Like, it's a rough list, man. I think if they miss on Dario, they might have to look at like trading GP2 for a stretch big. Like, there's it's
a bomb.
I don't know. Is there anyone else you're seeing on this list?
You just pulled one name out there that's interesting. Myers Leonard can shoot a little bit. Myers Leonard, he's back in the NBA. By the way, the GP2 comment, you just threw that out there. Don't just be throwing that stuff out there. That was kind of ooh.
Oh, I'm only saying that because so like he makes like $9 million. So it's not a max or a veteran minimum. In theory, you can utilize that to like actually make a trade. But like, I don't think they're going to do it. I think they like him. I think they think he's better for them than anyone else. So
I agree.
But all I'm saying is like after if they don't get Saric, like I don't know that there's a stretch big who fits the way the Warriors play who they can pick up. It's a gross list. Honestly,
I do see Myers. Myers Leonard is probably the closest one, and he's not.
I'm
pretty bad.
I might argue Frank Kaminsky's better, but like, honestly, this show should be canceled if we're arguing Kaminsky versus Leonard. Like that's my just you guys should shell us. Just be like, no,
they deserve better.
We're gonna go watch some video somewhere else.
Podziemski's gonna be playing coming up soon, so at least that'll be good.
And just to be clear, at no point am I advising they trade GP2. I'm just saying like if they can't get it at free agency, they got to start looking at like, do we have to go to the trade market to get a big? And you don't have a lot of guys who you can use to make trades that matter, you know? So,
well, I do think that 19th pick was something there. You can talk about the Jordan Poole. Maybe you get something else out of Washington. Maybe Muscala. People are throwing that out there. Can you get something else outside of just Chris Paul, right? But I mean, it's happened. Trades have already done. So would you trade? No. Would you from the comments? Would you trade?
oh, I might. I'm a Maxi Kleba guy. I like him. Good player.
Stop.
He's a good player. He's a playoff player.
GP2 is a playoff player. Maybe Maxi Kleba is a playoff player.
Maxi's a playoff player. Maxi was like the second best Mav against the Warriors, which tells you everything you need to know. He was better. He was better at guarding Warriors than Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock, and it goes without saying like Luka and Spencer Dinwiddie. But I think I'm just going to end it with what the chat says. This is all so nasty. I agree. I don't feel good about this conversation. I need Dario to just be like, I was on vacation. I didn't feel like signing the contract for 3 days.
That is the most like your dad kind of thing, where he's just like, where you're just texting him like, yo, can you sign this? And then, kind of day later comes and it's like, dude, this is urgent. He's like, is it fucking urgent? It's like, it's not. Well, fuck off. I don't know. That's fine. I'll sign it when I sign it. That is what he'll say. It's probably what Sarge is saying to his.
Well, to be honest, the immigrant dad move is the complete opposite. Like, money, sign. Immediate. Dropping everything I'm doing, taking the check. We've gone 30 minutes and we haven't even talked about the actual biggest move the Warriors made this weekend. And why is that? Because we knew? Because no one was actually concerned that Draymond Green was going to walk?
Yeah, the most fake drama I think we've ever seen in the existence of drama, right? Once Jordan Poole was traded, that BB was done. The drama though, Sam, was who would win. 90 million. I thought he would get 3 years, 90 million. You thought he would get 3 years, 80 million. He gets 4 years, 100 million. Who wins?
I'm obviously claiming victory because my AAV, my annual average
25?
value, is much closer. But you could claim he got what he wanted, which was 100. He doesn't care if it's coming in postage stamps over the next 10 years. He just wanted that. He wanted that round number, right?
4th year player option. So yes, that baby is guaranteed. He will not be opting out of that 4th year, no matter what.
Oh, you don't think so?
No matter what. The Warriors might be winning 25 games that year, but it does not matter. Draymond will be opting into that contract. Great job by Rich Paul from the comments there. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're all in. They've shown that they're all in this offseason. The moment that they traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, they could have traded Jordan Poole, I felt like, for other things. But they said, we're going to get a guy that, we think we can help us win today and this year only. So they had to make this deal. But 22 million on the first year helps the Warriors out a little bit in terms of taxes. Does it keep them under the second apron next year? Not a cap guy, but it feels like that it does. Maybe next year they'll be able to use their tax payment mid-level again. I don't know. So all in all, good.
Yeah, I mean, glad he's back. To your point, if it's just like, bro, we've talked about it. It's anticlimactic. I wasn't actually concerned he was leaving. Honestly, when I was watching the match, I was like, Draymond's not even faking the drama. Yep. Like he didn't even have it in his stomach to play the game anymore. Yep. He was just like, this is done. I'm good. Everyone's good. And there's a question in the chat, which I think is far more interesting. Are you guys surprised? Friend of the show, Tim Kawakami, said Klay would get offered less than Dre. And really, let's take this a step farther because Tim's great and everything he does. But what is this free agency period made you thought about Klay Thompson's free agency in 12 months?
I think he's getting probably the similar deal as Draymond. People are texting me like, "Oh, like, do you see Desmond Bain just got 250 mil?" I'm like, dude, Desmond Bain's like 24 years old, man. Like, he's
Yeah.
24 years old and he's healthy. Like, he's gonna get his money. He's a better player right now than Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is 33. He's gonna be 33. He's gonna be off those injuries. So, um, I also think at some point Klay is going to have to sacrifice. They're going to tell him to take, and it's not going to be like a crazy underpay. I think it's going to be similar to what Wiggins got, like maybe somewhere in between Draymond and Wiggins, like a relatively team friendly, but not a bullshit deal, right? Maybe 115, 120, something like that across 4. So I just, at some point, I think it's worth it for the Warriors to say, like, dude, we maxed you out when we knew you were going to be hurt. Gave you, you're going to pay $43 million this year. Just Draymond sacrificed a little bit to get that money back, right? Wiggins took a little pay cut too. So, I think it's not unfair of them to say that, and I think Klay would do it. So, I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. I think it'll be in that general ballpark. I thought about it. I was like looking at the Van Vliet contract. I was looking at the Desmond Bain. You're right. Desmond Bain's going into year 4. He's getting the rookie extension. It's all based on projected value. He's 26. You're giving him a contract from age 27 to 30 or something in that range. Obviously, you pay based off of improvement. Klay's getting a contract on the other end, which is 34 to 37, where you're being paid kind of like, can you maintain a certain level the rest of the way? I think he's going to honestly get more than Wiggins and Klay, but it's going to be in that same 25 to 30 a year range. And this market he's basically going to be faced with a choice. Do you want to stay with the Warriors, or are you chasing every last penny? It's really that simple, because there will probably be a team like the Charlotte Hornets or the Indiana Pacers who's like, Klay, 3 years, 130, 43 a year. Come be a Hornet, baby, Or you stay at the Warriors and they'll be like, you know what, like we can give you 30 a year. You'd be here. And I think that's where that whole thing is trending. I don't know, man. We have 12 months so we have to deal with it, but it does feel like they're probably going to spend the next year working on him being like, man, you're going to make a lot of money no matter what. Like, do you really need every last penny chasing 27 wins in Charlotte,
Yeah, right. I mean, he's going to be old. Is that worth it? Because I think a pretty easy comp for Klay Thompson as his career is kind of ending here in the next 5, 6, 7 years is Ray Allen, right? It's just he's still going to be a really good, great shooter, kind of the exact same player almost, maybe a little bit bigger, so he's going to play the 3 and the 4 a little more. But I also think we overreact. I think this offseason to kind of the last week, 2 weeks of the postseason. Yeah. So it's still so good. He's still so good. He's not a $15 million a year player, $20 million a year player.
I've been thinking about that a lot. 1, he led the league in threes. 2, he and Poole don't get enough credit for how well they played both times Steph went down. Now, it was softer part of the schedule both times, but both those stretches were like, dude, Steph is out for 3 weeks. They're on the verge of collapsing. If they can't win when he's gone, the season's over. And both times, Klay averaged like 30 a game for like an extended period of time. I think he was terrible versus the Lakers, but he had a good season. And I do think he's earned the benefit of the doubt to see how much he can kind of grow off of what was a bad season, and what, like, there were so many issues beyond just individually Klay Thompson on this team.
Yeah,
he's a winning player. He knows that. He's, Steve's kind of giving him some coaching stuff now, and it's I don't know. I'll say this right now. I would not trade him for Pascal Siakam.
Oh,
I like Siakam. I want Siakam on the Warriors. I don't see a world in which they trade a player who is that dangerous offensively as a shooter for a guy who sits in Draymond Green and position, and they improve as a team.
Would you trade him for Karl Anthony Towns? The 18th time we've asked this question in the past month.
At least you're talking about a dude who is legitimately as good as he is offensively. You know, like I keep thinking about this. Klay, I've been watching a lot of 2022 playoff stuff, and Wiggins was the story of the 22 playoffs. Like, just none of us saw him producing in the playoffs that way because he'd kind of never been that guy, right? You go watch a lot of that stuff. A lot of it is defenses being afraid of Klay Thompson and Wiggins taking advantage of it.
That's not going away. I mean, that's not going away, right? Which is why I think
he's first ballot. He terrifies defenses because he's literally as good a shooter as anyone who's ever touched a basketball than Steph Curry. That's more valuable than a lot of other, like, at some point you got to have dudes who give you an advantage in terms of their scoring ability.
I can't imagine. It's just so hard to imagine. They said, hey, we're going to completely punt on, you know, the guy that they drafted with the second pick and then the guy that they gave $123 million to, and just so they could also lose one part of the core three guys that they've won 4 championships with, right? This whole freaking offseason, that last trade deadline and this whole offseason feels like we're going down with the ship. We're just going to go with Steph, Draymond, and Klay for 4 more years and whatever. We'll figure shit out after that. But if we can win one more, just one more, it's all that matters.
Do you at least agree with me? Like, if you're going to move off Klay, get me someone who terrifies defenses. Don't get me a guy who is filling the gaps and an awesome glue player. You know, like Siakam is better than Draymond at the things Draymond's good at, you know, but like they're different roles. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, that's my thing with Cat too, is that I wouldn't, you're creating a big hole getting off of Klay. And I don't know if I trust someone like Cat, even though I like him. I mean, the only trade I make, and nobody would do this, is just, I mean, why would Milwaukee do this? Is like, if somebody like him just asks out and just, okay, now you just needed a contract to like, Portland's going to trade Dame to Miami because they have no choice, because that's where Miami wants to go.
Oh, I don't think he's going to Miami.
But I mean, he's like, hey, I want to go to this place, and NBA teams are pussies, and they're just like, oh, we're gonna go trade him to where he wants, and I'm just like, why would you? But like, if Giannis asks out one day and he's like, I want to go to the Golden State for whatever reason, right? Then it's like, okay, then you use that contract.
Sure.
But other than that, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Where do you think he goes?
I'm not convinced he's getting traded.
Dude, I will stop. Seriously?
I think we got a loyalty B side coming soon. I saw the big picture. My guy Scoot, loyal.
That's insane. That's insane. I can't do it anymore.
I can't either. Can we talk to him for a few minutes and we'll get out here?
Yeah.
I think this thing's dragging. I actually think part of the reason a guy like Saric hasn't signed is probably because of Dame. I just think there's like a trickle down effect when a guy like that is on the market, that like everyone else could kind of sit, you know, except for Cory Joseph, who's like, I gotta be worried. I think I'm kind of leaning into the Spurs or the Nets getting Dame.
The Nets make sense.
The Spurs would be hilarious, but why would, like, here's my thing. Why on earth does Portland have to do anything Dame wants? He signed an extension last summer. 4 years. He has they want to do right by him. Why? The dude's not. Can we be honest? He's not that good. What is he like? You guys are acting like he's Steph Curry, where he's like actually saved a franchise and they owe it to him to do whatever he wanted. They've been to the conference finals once. They went to that conference finals because CJ carried them in game 7. Dame was terrible. And in that conference finals, Steph Curry set an all-time record in points in a 4-game sweep with Alfonso McKinney as a starting small forward.
No KD.
No KD. No Iguodala. Iguodala sat games in that series because they didn't think they were serious. Dame averaged like 15 points per game in that series. And then it came out after, it was just obvious how terrible he played. Oh, he was injured. It was just an injury, the dude's pulling the LeBron playbook, but he's not LeBron. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of it. Enough, bro. You're not that guy. You're just like, you're closer to Kemba Walker than you are Steph Curry. Just act like Kemba Walker and go find a fucking new job.
God, that's so good. I need that cut up, Tim. Super producer. I need that baby cut up. And we need to throw that one to the crowd. I agree. When I hear, now we're just bitching and moaning, so we'll get out of here soon. But like, when I hear someone like Zach Lowe get on his pod and he's just like, "Oh, Dame gets to do whatever he wants to do. Like, he should do it." It's like, no. We can be annoyed of him because he's been bullshitting like this the last 4 years. And to your point, is he that great he's never won an MVP. He's never really been. That's my barometer. He's never actually like that.
People are comparing this to Kevin Garnett, and I'm like, dude, KG was the best player. Like, he's a significantly better player. Like, stop with the whole, like, he's been loyal. It's like, bro, a lot of dudes have been loyal who are not that good,
Well, KG was an actual, he was an actual monster, right? He was actually defensive player, the best defensive player on the 7-footer, actually good on offense, two-way type of player. Dame's terrible on defense, always been.
Better than probably Anthony Davis, but like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Tiring. I mean, I think just for the chat, Dame's a great player, Hall of Fame player. But like, enough with the, like, not every dude who makes an all-star team needs like this type of drama,
we're seeing this with James Harden now, who I think Daryl Morey if Daryl Morey ran the Blazers, he would definitely say, well, I don't care what you want. I'm just going to trade you when I trade you. Like, kind of like an NFL team, right? So Sixers were probably going to drag this baby to whenever. And then
I'm going to laugh so hard when he goes back to the Sixers and plays games for them next year.
I just would put it past Morey. I wouldn't be surprised either. I wouldn't be that GM. I would not be surprised because he's got some stones unless he's talking about China. But I think it's just all these guys, man. I mean, it's just all these guys in Steph's class, I think, of player, right? Harden, Russ, Dame. You can even throw Kawhi in there. Like, all these guys have been traded, have moved around and all this stuff. So maybe that's kind of like a good way for us to sum up this podcast, is to say Draymond signs for another 4 years. Steph is still going to be there. He's not going anywhere. Klay Thompson, they literally just moved off of Poole just to have enough money to pay Klay Thompson in the future. So you're looking at all of these stars, Sam, that just get moved over and over and over again, Chris Paul included. And meanwhile, the Warriors are, they won 4, and if I had to guess, they'll probably win 1 more in the next 4 years. So, it's pretty cool that the Warriors doing this.
That's where I'm at with it. We will be back tomorrow after Brandon Pajemski goes off in the California Classic. I don't know. Maybe we will. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't be back. But I know every one of you are watching. Don't lie to me.
I'm locked in.
Of course. Are you going?
No, I wouldn't. I was in SAC this weekend. It's 108 degrees. I will not be there, but I am excited to watch Pajemski.
I know you're still sweating, bro.
Dude, I am. It might be the alcohol. That might be the Hennessy coming off me. But I'm excited. I know you're excited. That's your guy. I think you're gonna get a couple texts from me tomorrow night. That is very happy.
Yeah, this is Game 7 mode for me. If he doesn't show out, I'm gonna pod with you with the camera off. It could be like this.
Oh, I got a blue light on now. What do we do? I think we're gonna go live after the show. I mean, he said he wants to average triple-double 20-10-10. The white LeBron. Let's go.
Whitebrook. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back as always.